This is such bullshit. I've never been so pissed in my whole life. And this murder Charlie Kirk right here in Utah. I'm so freaking pissed right now. This is bullshit. I just saw blood squirting out of his neck. I love that guy. He would have been our next president. I am so pissed right now. Why do they always come with fucking violence? Gosh damn it. Use your freaking words as they're talking to you people. Who shot Charlie Kirk? I'm driving in a Provo right now. I'm so pissed. Damn it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Kirk, social media pundit, right-wing pundit, was assassinated yesterday. This guy who is losing his mind, the vein in the middle of his forehead look as big as a python. Did you have that same energy when those kids that was praying died last week? Did you have that same energy for Sandy Hook? Did you have that same energy for the kids that got shot in the Orlando situation? Did you have that same energy for the people that was killed right the same time when Charlie Kirk was killed in Minnesota and Denver? I bet you didn't, because you showed up to an event for him. And he is famous for saying this, and we'll get into that in just a second in this video. And we'll also talk about what I feel is the solution I can take to Congress to slow down gun violence across the nation. You're in the building with Lamont Tyson. Let's get it.
I'm up early for the dealers come out. Everybody is outside till the killers come out. You ain't eating, you just act full. I'm impactful. Dozen funerals in a month. I got that pull. I will give it to niggas in all rap forms. Ignatius out right now on all platforms.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You're in the building with me, the Lamont Tyson, the all-knowing, all-loving, all-feeling, all-seeing, all-powerful, just damn all everything sexy as hell host. Not feeling so sexy as hell because did I like Charlie Kirk? Nope. Did I think that he was bad for the nation? Yes. But did I want to see him get killed? No, I did not. But words and actions have consequences, whether it's right or whether it's wrong. Please go and check me out, Politics of Being Black. There you can find my newsletter. You can sign up, become a member. Doesn't cost you anything. You can get free news about a lot of stuff that they don't report on the media. You can check out all my YouTube channels, my podcast, my merch. Anything you want to do, you can go there. Let me just say this first and foremost. As a left-leaning person, I do not condone violence. I condone defending yourself. If someone wants to get violent with you and you have the ability to whoop their ass, you do it. But I don't condone someone just shooting somebody sniper style, assassination style. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am able to walk and chew gum at the same time. Now, while I don't condone the behavior, I can say that if you sit with snakes, you're liable to get bit, even though you shouldn't get bit. If you play stupid word games, sometimes stupid things happen. This is a quote from Charlie Kirk after a mass shooting. I'm not making this up. This is what he said. Charlie Kirk says, gun deaths, unfortunately, worth it to keep the Second Amendment. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. And think about most Republicans in MAGA. They want to pass laws. They want to have privilege. They want to have things in place that, as long as it does not affect them, they're fine. They're good. When Charlie Kirk made this statement, do you think he was thinking it was going to ever happen to him? Because he sits up high in the palatial palace. He only goes to mostly non-threatening campuses. Have y'all ever seen him show up at a HBCU? Please, if you have evidence of that, let me know. He never envisioned this shit would happen to him. He just thought that he would be protected behind his wealth and the police and the power of the presidency. And guess what? Life happens to everybody. Everybody. At some point in time, oftentimes, when you say dumb shit like this, especially after the killing of somebody else, sometimes it comes back to bite you in the ass. And for him, it did. Now, am I condoning what happened? No. But did it happen? Yes. Could this be a consequence of him saying this? I don't know. We don't know much about the assassin, but this is what we do know. Republicans are out here lying their asses off, saying that the reason this happened is because of Democrats. And ladies and gentlemen, when you have mass shootings, when you have assassinations caught on tape, this man got shot in his throat and the blood was gushing out like the chocolate foundry at Golden Corral. It's sickening. It's disturbing. It's sad. The Republicans have an opportunity to do the right thing. And for them to blame this on Democrats and not do the right thing, it's stupid. It's senseless. It's hurtful. And this is what is wrong with this nation. Hold on, let me bring in a guest. Coming to the stage, we got Monique Nicole. How you doing, my sister?
Hey, I'm so sorry. I'm having major technical issues with my laptop, so I'm on my iPhone right now. So I am sorry. The devil's trying to hold me back today, man. But thanks for having me on. Before we even talk about that piece of crap person, I absolutely have to acknowledge the 24th anniversary of September 11. I absolutely hate that the news media and everything has been overshadowed today with all of this just chaos, if you will. But before I even start discussing the current state of politics, I have to acknowledge the victims of that terrible day and just really acknowledge what our nation went through during those times and the years to come. I mean, that led to a war where we lost God knows how many soldiers, innocent, somewhat innocent people. Parents had to bury their young, sons and daughters. I mean, 9/11 really was an impactful thing, and I hate that we don't talk about it enough. I hate that today, the anniversary, it just got diminished in the media. So I want to acknowledge that first.
Well said, my sister. And forgive me for not acknowledging it first because I've done it a couple of times today. This is not the first time I've been on video or have done a video. And I want to acknowledge those families and just say I hope you've been able to find maybe not totality of peace, but some level of comfort after that horrific situation. And I hope that this day, instead of you remembering the sadness of what happened, maybe you can remember the happiness that you experienced with those loved ones. And that can be the thing to carry you through. So hearts go out to you individuals that had to suffer that. And to your point, Monique, with as crazy of a president we have, who's not to say that this hit on Charlie Kirk could have had something to do with trying to take away the shine of 9/11? Who's to say that this hit on Charlie Kirk could have had something to do with trying to get the heat off Trump and the heat off Republicans and Democrats that could be in those Epstein files? Who's not to say that Charlie Kirk himself wasn't in it? Because we know they got rid of Epstein for sure because he could spill the beans on a lot of people. There's just so much going on with this situation, and we're left dangling because the administration and the powers that be aren't giving us a lot of details, which we, the American people, deserve to have. We don't deserve to have the right wing coming out blaming Democrats when you haven't even apprehended anyone. The two suspects you got, you let them loose. They didn't have anything to do with it.
Exactly.
And you just gonna come out your mouth and say Democrats? Now, I can remember a time before Monique Nicole was born when bad shit used to happen, no matter what the president was. It was, we need to come together. We need to stomp out the evil people that did this. And as a country, we need to embrace everybody. Do we get that same kind of decorum from Trump? No, and I don't expect it from Trump. And it's not Trump that bothers me. It's the masses of people that support everything he says and their hypocrisy when these situations pop up. And to illustrate what I'm saying, Monique, Nicole, I got a video for you. And then all the questions you might have about how you're feeling about the country, how you're feeling about safety, whatever, we can talk about that in a second. But take a look at this, what the right wing is saying in a time when we need someone to be the kind of healer in chief that Barack Obama was, the greatest president of my lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Take a look at this.
And so here's just a sampling of what is happening on the right wing. Pop up the first tweet, Kylie. Matt Forney says, for years, the radical left has compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis. This type of language is directly responsible for the terrorism we're seeing in our country today. Trump is going to destroy the left once and for all. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. We're doing it for you. And I want to point out that as of filming this right now, there is no suspect. And when there is no suspect, there is no motive. Nobody knows right now who killed Charlie Kirk. It is time for a complete crackdown on the left. Every Democratic politician must be arrested and the party banned under RICO. Every libtard commentator must be shut down. Stochastic terrorism, they caused this. And so let's go back in history and let's arm ourselves with what a Reichstag fire was. So I want to point out to you that initially he says they called us Nazis. And that's what killed Charlie Kirk. And then 2 hours later, he calls for this to be the right's Reichstag fire. What is a Reichstag fire? Put it up, Kylie. A Reichstag fire was a major event in Germany on February 27th, 1933, when the Reichstag building, the German parliament in Berlin, was set on fire. A young Dutch communist named Maurits van der Lubbe was found at the scene and arrested. The Nazis, led by Adolf Hitler, quickly blamed communists in general for the fire. Using the fire as an excuse, Hitler convinced President Hindenburg to issue the Reichstag Fire Decree, which suspended many civil liberties like freedom of speech, press, and assembly. This allowed the Nazis to arrest political opponents, especially communists and socialists, and helped Hitler consolidate power. In simple terms, the Reichstag fire was likely started by one man, though some think the Nazis may have staged it, but it gave Hitler the perfect excuse to crush his opponents and turn Germany into a dictatorship.
Monique, Nicole, let me say it like this. My grandma said a hit dog will holler. Why are all the Republicans in such synchronicity about this being a Democrat? And you have no proof, no evidence, or nothing. You don't have a suspect. Hell, you barely got his footprint. There's no fingerprints on the gun. This guy, obviously, whoever it was, Monique, he was trained in an elite level,
yes,
to make that kind of shot from peering up 200 to 300 yards away to get that man in the neck with one single shot. That is a professional, ladies and gentlemen. That is a professional. And with so much shit surrounding Trump, Epstein, Charlie Kirk, MAGA, you mean to tell me that y'all go into a foxhole and y'all want to say it's the Democrats, considering everything else that's going on, how Trump has set the world on fire? We're not buying it. We're not buying it. And I'm going to give the floor to Monique, Nicole, and then I'll rebuttal, but we're not buying this. Stop it.
Yeah, there's so much to say, and there's so many different directions that we can go. But since you set it up like this, I mean, I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. It's pure racism at its finest. And it really aligns with the narrative, the false narrative in which they are doing right now, the fear mongering amongst white supremacists, right? Oh, the blacks and whoever, they're taking the jobs and they're affirmative action and it's just the DEI is the new N-word for them. So it's like the fact that 24 hours after the assassination, we now have HBCUs across the country being shut down because of threats, and violent threats are happening across HBCUs. We have parents who are afraid of their college kids at schools. It's so crazy to me, this entire situation. And I don't know about you, but today I'm really emotionally drained because I haven't really been battling too many people on the internet, because I try not to do that for my own mental health. But the amount of ignorance that I've been seeing from strangers, acquaintances, old colleagues, to be a white person in America and to be that delusional, it's got to be mental illness, because to that level of delusion is just something. How are they taught this from birth? Are they taught this from childhood? Like, the level of delusion. I literally had to go at it with someone on Facebook. Of course, their rhetoric was, how dare you guys make a mockery of this? If it was Obama who was assassinated. I said, first of all, you're comparing a legendary president to a political talking head, a YouTuber, I mean, apples and oranges. Then I also had to remind them of Melissa and Mark Hortman, who were Democrats in I don't know the specific, they were in administration on the, their Democratic Party, and they were murdered in their home in June. Them and their dog were viciously murdered in their home by a MAGA radical. By a MAGA radical. Did they get this type of news coverage and this type of empathy and sympathy from the other side? Did the Republicans and the conservatives have think pieces of political violence and how this has gone too far? And these are people who work in government in the United States of America and were murdered in their home. In their home. If that doesn't go too far, I mean, but it was okay, right? It was okay. But when it's their own kind, now we have to have all these think pieces, and now it has to be the, oh my gosh, it's gone too far, political violence. You guys planted the seed. You guys planted the seed. I'm not rejoicing in what happened to Charlie, but there is such a thing called cause and effect. You absolutely cannot incite violence. You cannot speak publicly against gun control. You cannot say out your mouth that we're just going to have to sacrifice a few deaths from gun violence to protect our amendment. Are you crazy? And it's the gaslighting. It is the absolute gaslighting. We're not talking about a few gun violent deaths. We're talking about massacres. We're talking about children, men and women who get slaughtered every single day. We're talking about 20 kids who get slaughtered going to elementary school. So
right.
The fact that he gaslit us in such a way, again, I am in no way rejoicing in what happened to him, but I'm not mourning it. And I don't feel bad about it, because if the shoe was on the other foot, they would be dancing on those people's grave. They would be making fun of us. I mean, it's just asinine. The worst, and I'm going to end with this, the worst kind of people in the world, in my opinion, are the people who see injustice and see terrible things happening and turn a blind eye until it happens to them. To me, those are the most dangerous type of people, the people who do not give a shit about what is happening to the person to the left and to the right of them until it impacts them. You are the worst kind of people to me.
Well, let me explain to you why that's happening, Monique, Nicole, because two reasons this happens. I'm not religious one bit.
Oh,
But
I'm sorry.
religion, no, I mean it's you. I don't knock people who are religious. I knock you when you start trying to infiltrate and govern everybody based on your religion. You're not living in my house. And as long as what I'm doing is not bothering you, what you're doing shouldn't bother me. The problem is the Republicans have been able to weaponize religion. That's one big issue. And when you weaponize religion, you're able to make these people think that magic works, that God can be ordained through one human being, and then you're able to allow them to somehow or another not critically think, not feel like education is of a value. You just believe the pastor. You believe whoever the pastor says is right. You believe your president that's talking the Bible. And if you look hard enough, you'll see that Bible is on fire, ladies and gentlemen, because that's the devil holding that Bible. And here's the latest thing that the Republicans have been doing the last 2 years. And it's ironic that this happens to Charlie Kirk because he spoke on it. The Republicans have been trying to get people to believe that empathy, Monique Nicole, is a sin. It's a sin. Sympathy is okay, but empathy, you're sinning, especially you women. Okay. Yeah. Now, if you and Charlie Kirk are telling us that while he's alive, should we feel empathy for his wife? Should we feel empathy for his kids? Should we feel empathy for the millions of you that follow his dumb ass and his dumb ass policies? Because most of you that follow Charlie Kirk, y'all think this was okay. And if you think anyone who thinks that is okay, you're wrong. You're on the wrong side of history. And history will tell the tale once America overcomes this shit. And we will, because you're going to get rooted out. Y'all just don't know it yet, but you will. If you think that this shit right here was okay, anyone listening to the sound of my voice, if you got friends in your circle that think this was okay, you need to just leave them alone. Goodbye. Because you're never, ever in your life going to be able to trust that person. Because if they're willing to go into the voting box and vote against someone who was one of their own, a white guy, they was voting against Mike Pence. They wanted to use this noose to hang Mike Pence because he wouldn't do the bidding of Trump. Imagine what they'll do to someone who's not of their color or a woman who's not even on the level of the top white guy, because they don't think much of women unless you are subjugating yourself to the white guy. If they would be willing to do that to Mike Pence, what the hell do you think they'd be willing to do to somebody else? What do you think? Now, Nicole, let me show you this real quick. They want us to feel sorry for Charlie Kirk, right? This is the same man that said this. Well, I already showed you that he said we should have some gun deaths to protect the Second Amendment, which is completely horrible and wrong. And I have a solution for that shit, that we could get this done in 6 months if they want to. We can call it the Lamont Tyson Act. But before we get to that, let's look at more of how hypocritical MAGA and the Republicans are, that they can't go look in the mirror and be honest about themselves. Take a look at
this. I saw a clip somewhere that you were trying to get the officer who murdered George Floyd pardoned, and I just want to know what your reasoning was about that.
Well, George Floyd didn't die because of the police officer. He died largely because of a drug overdose.
But he had his knee on his neck. We all saw the video.
But the knee on the neck is actually an approved police technique that police departments taught Derek Chauvin to use. Do you know that George Floyd was saying, "I couldn't breathe," well before that restraining technique? And
so why'd they use the technique if he already couldn't breathe?
Well, because he was actually resisting arrest, and they had to restrain him. And they restrained him in a way that they were taught to do, which is the knee on the neck technique.
Okay, so when does the technique end? Like when they die? Like he said he couldn't.
No, I mean the technique ends when the individual stops resisting arrest. His cause of death was not asphyxiation; it was drug overdose. He had
that was a part of it. Like he also had a heart thing, and he was on drugs. But he wouldn't have just died if he was standing there. Like they had his.
Well, actually, there's an argument to be made. According to the medical examiner, he was drug overdosing in real time. That it wasn't because of the police officer, Derek Chauvin, that put his knee on the neck. And again, they were taught to do that. According to the Hennepin County Police Department, they teach that as an approved restraint technique. And by the way, this is just a broader point. Our whole country blew up because of this incident, and it was largely based on a lie. Largely based on a lie. We were all.
What was the lie?
The lie is that there was a white police officer that went after a black person just because he was black, and it just wasn't true. He was resisting arrest.
Okay, but he killed him. That doesn't.
Well, Again, the county medical examiner disagrees. The county medical examiner in the original report.
So then why did he?
Monique, Nicole. I didn't see no white people standing up for George Floyd. Monique, Nicole, so what if I said it like this? Because I'm a respiratory therapist. What if I said Charlie Kirk didn't die from someone that shot him with a gun? Charlie Kirk died because he lost perfusion to the blood tissues in his body because he was bleeding out of his neck. Does that fly get out of the ointment for you, Monique, Nicole? He didn't die because he was shot. He just died because blood just started coming out of his neck. A shooter did not shoot him, Monique. Blood just started coming out of his neck. Okay? Would that fly anywhere? Fuck no, it wouldn't, MAGA. Like, you guys got to be smarter than this.
The fact that they believe their own delusion, it's like I'm laughing, but it is.
You're trying to keep from crying.
It's really like astonishing in the worst way. But that clip doesn't surprise me. The things that I want people to know that this man said, because I'll be honest with you, I did not know this man 48 hours ago because I can only deal with so much of this. However, I did some research, and to say he was racist is an understatement. To say that he was sexist, understatement.
Misogynistic, narcissist.
For people who are not aware, this came up in conversation, and he said out his mouth, he was basically posed. It was a very jarring question. He was posed the question, mind you, he has a 1-year-old child and a 3-year-old child, and I do feel bad for his children. A question was posed.
I do too.
Let's say that his daughter was 9 or 10 years old and was a schmalted, God forbid, and ended up pregnant. What would be his reaction? He answered by saying, well, that's a terrible question. It is a terrible question, but it's a reality. And you know what that man said? He said, well, my child would have to have the baby. That is a father answering a hypothetical question that if his daughter was raped, the worst thing that could ever happen to a woman, as a father, you would make your child have when I read that, I said, oh, baby, I really don't care. As I did more research, guys, I grew less and less and less sympathetic. And this is what I want people to understand. Dr. Umar, everybody who's trying to say, oh, Black people, I didn't like him either, but let's not rejoice. I don't think I'm not being biased, Lamont. I have not seen a single Black person rejoice or celebrate his murder. I need people to understand celebrating someone's death is not the same thing as turning a blind eye or showing a lack of sympathy. That is two different things. Dancing on someone's grave is not the same thing as not showing sympathy.
Here's the problem. You just got finished talking about how delusional MAGA is, and apparently this Umar guy is just as delusional. They don't hear this. They cannot walk and chew gum at the same time. They can't. They cannot think independently to look at someone for their behavior and their consequences unless they're talking about chicks that go to the club and wear outfits like this. And they tell you that if you don't want a man cackling you, you don't want a man RAPing you, you don't want a man touching you without your consent, then you shouldn't wear this shit. That's what they tell you, right? Well, if you don't want people doing what they done to Charlie Kirk, maybe you shouldn't say shit like this.
Yes.
Maybe you shouldn't be such a racist. Maybe we should be supporting common sense gun legislation. And Monique, Nicole, I got the answer. My answer to gun legislation is this right here. We put a fucking microchip in every single gun that is made and every single gun that is owned in this country. Okay. It would make money for the government. It would make money for the gun makers, the gun lobby. And more importantly, you put a chip in those guns and put a tamper-proof thing in those guns. Anytime it gets within 3 miles of a highly populated area, it sends a ping to the local authorities, to the school authority, to the hospital authority, to any authority. And the only pushback I've ever gotten from a redneck is, I don't want no goddamn government.
Mhm.
What I say to him, Monique, Nicole, dumb. You got a phone in your back pocket. What the fuck you think is being tracked now? Twitter, Elon Musk, all your information from Palantir, you got a fucking phone. And then I said to them, what do you need a high power weapon for? Just to show it off? If you're not going to do anything with it, put the chip in it.
Right.
You're going to go use it to hunt. Y'all keep lying about that, because when you shoot up a deer or any animal that you plan to eat, the way they would shoot up, you turn the meat into Swiss cheese and you're not eating it. So stop lying. Either you want to save lives or you don't. And it's convenient that now that Charlie Kirk is dead, you want someone to feel sorry and be happy about that, but your asses ain't never happy when it's these children dying. I got a small child.
Yes.
Do something to stop this shit. Put the chip in the guns immediately. Call it the Tyson Chip Act. Immediately. You're going to pay off the gun lobby. The government got an excuse to spend money. We have safety for the people. We can protect the children. We can do all that. We could have avoided this with Charlie Kirk, your hero, even though I disagree with every damn thing he was about, because he was harming the country by filtering the brains of young people with this bull jive. I still don't want to see him shot and assassinated. And we could have prevented that by doing the Lamont Chip Act to protect the children. Floor is yours, Monique, Nicole.
Now, and I agree with all that. And just for me, out of respect and me being a journalist, I want to say this correctly. So I referenced earlier Melissa Hortman. She was a Minnesota state representative, and she and her husband were shot and killed in their home June 14th, just a couple months ago, guys. And again, there was no outcry. There was no outpour of sympathy from the other side. There was no flag, raised and low, whatever they be doing to honor people. I mean, it wasn't any of that. I mean, the fact that JD Vance left or didn't attend the 9/11 memorial service to go attend, but the fact that the school shooting that happened yesterday in Colorado, yes, it got coverage, but instead of white conservatives sitting on Instagram and TikTok crying over this Charlie guy, y'all should have been crying about those kids. Now, thankfully, none of the children injured yesterday died. Thank God. But they are in critical condition and they're still in the hospital fighting for their life. So I hope, I haven't really looked at it today because today has been so chaotic in media. I hope all the children, I think 4 children were wounded. Somebody correct me, but the fact that I saw grown white people crying on the internet for this Charlie guy who literally spewed this, the very thing that happened to him, he was spewing that rhetoric. So why are y'all crying? I mean, yeah, he said a few gun violent deaths gonna have to be sacrificed. Well, hey. Power in the
they wanted it to be people like me and you. They wanted it to be people like Lee and you. They wanted it to be people like Abreu Garcia. They wanted it to be them type of people. That's what they thought it was. And then they want to gaslight everybody into believing that the Democrats are causing violence. Every time I see a gun situation, the Democrats are the only ones saying we need to do something about the guns. Okay. And then you turn around and you mix it with a president who's amped up the violence. Let me take a look at, let me show you this. This is Trump's own words. Rough them up. Comment. He said to encourage harm for heckling. Gun hint against political opponents. Trump said that. Implied possible violence. This is your president who has done this. Attack terrorist families, advocating unlawful violence. Don't be too nice to arrest people. Endorse police aggression. Be there. Will be wild. Encourage attendance at the January 6th, which again, the January 6th is going to always be the bridge too far for me. Okay. He did that. Fight like hell. Motivated, aggressive crowd action. Capital chance. Rally on the ground supporting the attackers. Biden tied up video. Trump retweeted. The image showed Biden being drugged behind a truck. Calling protesters animals, get hit, dehumanize people. This is y'all's president. This is y'all's president. And y'all don't somehow see where you guys are losing the humanity, and then you want to always blame it on. It's called projection, Monique, Nicole. It's called projection. That's what it's called. And for whatever the reason, Trump has gotten people to be worse human beings because the things that we had said should be polite society, he's torn the veil off of it to keep chaos going and keep these dummies done while he's in there enriching himself to the tune of billions of dollars, enriching tech oligarchs to the tune of billions of dollars, all while making them pay for it. And because they're so amped up on social issues, Monique, Nicole, they don't even realize he done shoved the banana in their tailpipes. And Monique, he's not the only one that said stupid shit. This is Charlie Kirk's words. Take a look at this.
Yes.
After the Nashville shooting, March 23rd, he said that keeping the Second Amendment is important, that it's worth it if there are some gun deaths every year. He compared it to how we still accept car deaths. In the same Nashville aftermath, on his show and faith events, he used alarmist language, calling America, Nashville, and other countries weak. Right around the same thing, trans terrorism. He talked about that. And so you guys can read all this shit Charlie Kirk said out of his own mouth. Folks, word has consequences, action has consequences. And oftentimes people say shit not thinking it's going to happen to them. What you got, Monique?
Let's kind of talk about what I predict that's going to happen. I'm very worried about, which is retaliation, right? I am worried, and this is what a lot of politicians on both sides were talking about, regardless of how I feel or you feel. This does open up a door that we really don't want to go through. Right. And unfortunately, the right got hit first. And I am afraid that now a radical from that side is going to try to hurt a Democrat. You know what I'm trying to say? A figure.
Because it doesn't take much to get these dumb people to get riled up. Monique, we lived through January 6th.
Correct.
That was dumb. That was stupid. And none of them paid enough of a penalty or a price so that they would be deterred from doing the behavior. As a matter of fact, Trump pardoned a lot of them. What does that say for bad behavior, Monique, Nicole? It doesn't say a whole lot.
But it's just the fact that we're going, we as a nation, when it comes to our politics, we have not had to really worry about the harming of political figures too much, or the assassinate. That has now come because of Donald Duck, which we knew would come with all that he brought. But I'm just saying, we're already in the pits of hell. And I just feel like we're just going downhill. Now, let me just read this to you. I did share this with you on Instagram. I'm not sure if you saw it, but State Department warns immigrants not to mock, praise, or rationalize the death of Charlie Kirk on social media. Could lead to reviewing their legal status or having visas blocked. The lines have been crossed. There's no more boundaries. There's no more checks and balances. And I am concerned. I'm concerned about the violent front, and I'm concerned about what I just read. You know what I'm saying? They're going to come for immigrants, but they're coming for Black people first, guys. 5 HBCUs across the country were targeted today. So I am, when I say, what's the word I used a minute ago? When I say I'm worried about them clapping back, I'm worried about them clapping back, and they're going to clap back in more than one way. So what are your thoughts about that whole, them warning, hey, you immigrant, you better not post on Facebook or we're going to come.
It's Monique, Nicole, it's dumb. It's hypocrisy, because they're telling people Charlie Kirk should not have been killed because he's speaking his opinion. And now you're telling these people if they speak their opinion, you're going to come for them. That's bullshit. And you know it. It's stupid. And you know it. The only thing I can hope is that the governors of blue states are preparing their National Guard because we might be this close to World War III. Because, number one, this is a great distraction for Trump and those Epstein files. Great distraction. Because if that shit ever gets out, Monique, Nicole, the line of dirty bastards from Democrat, Republicans, and CEOs, if that ever gets out, we might just have a national revolt then. Because so many of these people that love these folks in power would see the real buttocks of their heroes. Democrats would have to wash this country clean and add more socialism. So that's one thing that they're doing. The other thing that we've got going on with all this bull job is that protection has got to be placed on people who are going to be at the forefront of attacks, HBCUs, women, marginalized women, our immigrants, refugees, anyone who's not a white guy in power that is MAGA. You've got to be watching your back, and you've got to be aligning yourself with groups of fellow folks like me and Monique, Nicole, for protection's sake, because Trump sent military to these quote unquote cities that the crime is bad. You remember the reason he sent people to Washington, D.C. was because big balls got beat up, which a lot of us think that all this shit is staged, right? So is he going to send the military to Utah? That's white Republican ran state. Is he sending the military there? Probably not.
Probably
but
not.
If you're gonna send them somewhere, shouldn't their asses be on that campus right now? No, because it's a race war, mother. It's a race war. You're not doing it for safety. Because if you was, you would have had the military and everybody else in Utah today. It's not for that. You are doing this. Hold on, let me finish. He is doing this to make getting to the midterms harder because he knows his ass is going to get crushed in the midterms. And if you keep making people fearful to come out, that way you water down the vote. Maybe you don't lose the House and you still have all this power. Floor is yours.
Yeah, sorry about that. There's like still a delay on my end because of my technical issues. So I did not know there's conversation about this being a potential inside job. I'm not surprised if it is. I just don't know if there's conversations about it.
Monique, all this could be an inside. First of all, I don't believe Trump was really assassinated. I don't. And the reason why I don't believe that is because Evander Holyfield got his ear bit the fuck off by Mike Tyson. And that shit never healed. You mean to tell me a bullet going through your ear is going to heal? Stop it, Trump. So I don't believe that. For all we know, Charlie Kirk could have been involved in these Epstein files. He might know more than what he should. And somebody said, we got to shut him up. Or this could be retaliation to Trump, badass from another country, foreign actor, to show Trump, don't you fuck with us. Because I'm telling whoever this person was, he was a professional. He's military grade, whoever this person was. That was to send a message. And then to see all the Republicans come out on a united front blaming Democrats and you have no evidence of the such, a hit dog will holler. So I'm thinking this could have been some inside stage job, something to put somebody at bay because it's just too many coincidences from their side and they running out hollering like a dog that got ran over by a car. So it could be something like that. And then what stokes these conspiracies is because you're not giving us any data. Trump ain't released no medical data about the gun shooting to his ear. And I'm gonna tell you why, because it ain't none. Trump ain't released his recent medical help when it looked like his ass had a stroke sometime this week. We don't know nothing else about Charlie Kirk, And so they had cockeyed Kash Patel throw all this information up about two suspects that they released. That's not how you do business. And that was done just to shut us up to say that they're working on something so it probably don't look like some conspiracy. But Monique, Nicole, I'm not believing none of this. And I think that we all who see and think critically, we've got to stick together because it is too many dumbasses out there that don't know they're dumb, that think they're heroes, that think they're living for a country that bleeds for them. But you can't be doing that when you're wearing MAGA colored flags that ain't red, white, and blue. You can't be doing that when you're not supporting your neighbor. And we've got to stick together because the crazies is out there, Monique, Nicole.
They're out there. They're really out there. I, I had
They out
to
there.
really gather somebody today, and this goes back to your point earlier about religion. And so basically, someone was saying, "Oh, he's a good Christian man." And I want to say this for
Right.
anybody, because I'm very deep in my faith, and it's not wavered. This is why I stress, as I'm older, I stress more about just having your own relationship with God versus organized religion. Because trust
Right.
me, as someone who grew up in church, Lord knows organized religion can be very toxic and problematic.
Mhm.
As we see, there are people who are defending this man, calling him a good Christian man, and spewing Bible verses at me. Listen, white people have been weaponizing religion since the beginning of time. That's nothing new.
Mhm.
Slave owners claim to be Christian. Let's just be
Right.
real. So I want
Right.
people to understand that. Don't let that deter you. Form your own relationship with God. There's always going to be this noise and this ignorance and problematic people who hide behind a religion and claim to. That's always been there. But I told the person, I said, I don't give a damn that you claim to be Christian. I said slave owners were Christian. So you telling me that you're Christian and you're this and you're that means nothing to me. You know what I'm saying? It just really means nothing. But these are the same people who as someone who is a believer, I really do not understand how you claim to be a person of faith and you defend rhetoric that is hateful and hurtful and
Mhm.
racist and has no merit and no integrity and no empathy. How do you as a Christian support a man that says he does not believe in empathy and empathy is woke? How are you a Christian but you're not empathetic?
You're a Christian that don't believe in Jesus Christ, because Jesus Christ clearly stated he didn't like rich people, clearly had empathy for everybody. You're not a Christian. You're a
Yes.
sometimey Christian. You're a convenient Christian.
You're a
You're a
delusional
Christian when you
Christian. I can't
you-
even say sometime because
oh,
sometime is you pop your booty in the club and that's sometime. I don't even care about that. Live your life. That is not
but
sometime. Them motherfuckers is delusional. I don't know what Bible they reading from, but it's the same Bible that the slave masters was reading. They going to church on Sunday and whipping our asses to death on Monday. So
and then you had the male slave masters back there putting penises in them asses. So
yes,
at the end of the day, Monique, Nicole, they're not Christians at all.
at all.
They're pretending to be Christian. They're not Christians at
Oh
all.
gosh, Lord
And
have
let
mercy.
me go to this last part before we get out of here, Monique. So Trump comes and does his little press conference and talks all this shit and not bringing the country together the way Barack Obama did. And I want you to take a look at this clip for a little bit of clarity, and then we can end on this and wish everybody a good going into the weekend.
Trump didn't mention the plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer, the storming of the Capitol, the pipe bombs left at the DNC, the break-in to kidnap Nancy Pelosi, and the brutal attack on Paul Pelosi, the assassination of Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband, and the shooting of State Senator John Hoffman and his wife. And there's more. You can go on and on. There was attempts for the governor of Pennsylvania, and you don't see us immediately saying we need to go at war with all of the right wingers.
We never say that. We always say we need to fix the problem, which is getting rid of high powered, high caliber, long distance rifles. And if you go ahead and pass the Lamont Chip Act, we can start doing something about this immediately. Because I worry about my kids. I worry about Monique's kid when she has some. I worry about Charlie Kirk's kids, and I have complete empathy for those kids. I feel sorry for the wife too. I have empathy for everybody's little crumb snatchers. Even you folks that's teaching your kids to be hateful, teaching them that slavery never happened, teaching them that we shouldn't be wanting rights as Black people. Even I don't want to see your kids die, because they might grow up to learn the real truth and say, Mom, you was wrong. And that's how you get a movement started. And so, Monique, Nicole, having said that, what are your final thoughts as you hear that instead of trying to find solutions, we're just pointing fingers? And then they want us to be sitting up here saying niceties about Charlie Kirk. Man that said this.
it's delusion. I'm at a loss for words because all day I've been fed this, and it's really like hard taking all this in amongst everything else that we have to take in. But I do want to say something you said earlier. I know you always joke about my age as far as not knowing what politics was like long before. I do. I remember the times where there was respectable politics. I remember growing up in the era of
Clinton.
my neighbor. I remember that. I remember even Bush. And as much as a lot of us did not like Bush, as many mistakes as that mother trucker made, oh Lord.
He's a good guy though. Like the person is a good guy.
I have respect for him because after his presidency, this man, I have heard him, I've watched his interviews. He has taken accountability. He has acknowledged his wrongdoings, his mistakes. And you can't do nothing but respect that. And he never stood for hate. Now, he was flawed to the max, but he was still a good person. And so, yes, I remember when we still had respect and camaraderie within our politics.
And George Bush liked black women. He loved him some Michelle Obama.
Yes, I remember those infamous clips of them just always side by side. So yes, I do remember that, and it hurts. It is very sad to see how far down we've gone. I mean, when I hear about the politics of today, it doesn't feel real. Like, I know we've been engulfed in Trump America since 2016, but because I have things to compare it to, there are moments that I'm still kind of like, whoa, is this really is this our reality? Like, there are moments that I'm still just like, WTF, how did we get here? What is this? This is not the America that I knew. This is not how we were raised. This is not how we were brought up in this country. As flawed as this country has always been, there was a time where there was still respect amongst all parties, and there was a level of some type of camaraderie and some respect, and so there were boundaries, there were checks and balances, and we're so far gone. I just don't think we'll ever be able to come back. I don't want to be negative. I'm just a realist. I don't live in Disney princess fairy tale land. I'm always going to be hopeful for the future, but I just think it's going to take a long time to get us back to being some type of civilized human beings in this country.
Monique, Nicole, what it's going to take is for a Democrat to get in there and let his balls drop, and all the shit Trump done that was evil, he's going to have to reverse it for the good of the people. And he's going to have to wield the power Trump wielded the same way Trump wielded it, but do it for the good of the people. Meaning he's going to have to get his ass in there and flood the zone with 1 million executive orders, so many that the Supreme Court can't keep up with them, to undo this mess, to get things back to where the people have power. Because the one thing that rich people, white entitled people, and folks who sit at the top want, they don't want you to have no power. They pretend like they do, but they really don't. They do not want you to have power. And we need a Democrat that's going to get in there, because you've seen how the American people respond. Democrats have tried to play this nice game. We're going to do the right thing all the time. And what has that gotten you? It's gotten you Trump twice, and he does everything wrong. And his supporters are eating it up like a spoon of ice cream to a kid. And so a Democrat is going to have to get in there, reverse some of this bull jive, and just be ironclad with it. And Monique, Nicole, it's going to happen. And not only is it going to happen, it's going to happen probably in the next election cycle, but they are going to have to be firm about it. You can't get in there and start playing nice politics no more. You're going to have to do something about that Supreme Court. You're going to have to set some kind of commission that can regulate the president when he's out of line, and to get the American people back to a place where we're treating these folks with dignity. You're going to have to attack the MAGA crowd. When they break laws, they got to have the consequences. If they was to storm the Capitol like little jack monkeys again, they need to be shot. They need to be prisoned, and you need to drag as many of them motherfuckers you got, build an Alcatraz prison for them. That's what you're going to have to do, because the only way you're going to restore some semblance of respect and law and order is to enforce consequences on these people that don't think they should have consequences. And that's what the MAGA base is all about. And it can be done.
But it's going to take more than just another president. I mean, it feels like it's going to have to take a village to do that, in my opinion, you know? It took a village to build this monster. It's going to take a village to tear down the monster.
Well, a lot of what this monster is doing is executive orders. You know, a lot of that, like him running the military to everybody's community.
Yeah.
I mean, Congress and them, they can't do nothing about that. And technically, even the governors can't really do nothing about it other than take it to court. And you see how long that shit lasts. So if we could just get a president in there that can do a handful of things that'll just rattle the sabers and put power back more so into the hands of the people who are sane. One of the big issues we have with this country is too much power is given to the flyover countries that only have 2 million people. They have as much or more power than folks who live in California that has 10 million people. And that's a problem, because the will of the people is not the flyover country. And the flyover country is what you're seeing at the Capitol. And they're trying to cling to that shit for dear life. We need to get rid of this electoral college immediately. And it's going to take an act of Congress to get rid of it. And we've got to stop them we got to put an end to this gerrymandering, because them gerrymandering is the last icing on the cake when it comes to checks and balances. We got to stop that. So if it's not Lamont Tyson that's going to be president, whoever's listening to the sound of my voice, if you're going to be president, put me in your cabinet. I will be your good Stephen Miller, okay? I ain't going to round up no women. I'm not going to round up illegals. I'm going to round up the real criminals. That's who we're going after. We're not going after folks that's just living the American life, just trying to make it. We ain't going after them. Having said that, Monique, what can people look forward to on your channel if you're going to do anything the next couple of days? Because it's heavy. It's heavy out here on these streets.
Hey, you guys, I've been so busy the last couple of weeks. I know that sounds like bullshit. Everybody busy, but I've been busy. Plus, I had a birthday, and so
happy birthday.
Thank you, Team Virgo. So y'all, when I say I'm behind on content, I'm behind on content for media, work, and YouTube. So the next video you'll see from me in the next couple of days will definitely be a hot topics video. There's a lot going on. Not only politics, but in the entertainment streets. Y'all, Tyler Perry's accuser came out, did an interview. So we got there's things to talk about in the entertainment street. So that you guys can stay tuned for that. I will also be dropping clips. I did an exclusive interview a couple weeks ago with the actor that plays Hoop on BMF, Tyson. That was an amazing interview. Lamont was part of it. I'm behind. I'm supposed to be chopping up clips. I will do that in the next day or two. I will chop up clips. We're going to post it on TikTok, YouTube, everything. Run the numbers up.
Monique, why don't you just let, StreamYard to chop the clips up for you automatically?
Well, I have another app, the Opulent. I love that app.
Okay. Gotcha.
I just have to do it, y'all. So
okay. Gotcha.
Stay tuned. I'm about to be dropping content on that ass. Okay.
Well, your boy is going to be going to a stock training in Texas for the next couple of days, so y'all won't see me. Y'all might see me post some stuff, but I got to get it in because I'm trying to teach people how to make money in the stock market, as I have been reinventing my craft in the market to really, really try to make a positive influence and help some people do better in their life. So stay tuned. Continue to send me messages. Please, please, please. You want to know what I'm doing when you don't see me? You can get my newsletter by going to beacons.ai/politics of being black. There you can get my newsletter. You can see my beautiful daughter. You can see all the links to me from my Instagram, my TikTok, my IMDb, my LinkedIn, both YouTube channels, and my podcast. Please go subscribe. Stay tuned. And until that next Sexy as Hell video, y'all, tell folks about my gun chip act so that we can save some lives. We out. Oh, we can't be out yet, Monique, because the only way we're going to get out of here is I got to let them hear my outro, my favorite outro, that bleach blonde, bad built butch body. Lady J Jasmine Crockett is the outro, and we'll see you later.
Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body. Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body. Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body.